Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking about some healthy meals or some really cheap meals if you guys are on a budget. This is inspired by the Dave Ramsey saying, which is rice and beans, beans and rice. If you guys don't know, I was $23,000 in credit card debt at one point in my life, and I had to make a spreadsheet. I had to get an extra job, and I had to budget super hard to make sure that I paid it off. I did pay it off. I also paid off my car, and I was pretty strict for a while. And so I want to share with you guys some of the tips that I've learned, or some of the ways that I was able to stay healthy and follow the beans and rice and beans diet, because it is important that you are able to manage your money as it relates to food, your grocery budget, as you're trying to pay off debt, because that budget can very easily be rationalized and be like way out of control. And it was for me. So the first thing is that I never ate out. I didn't eat out at all. I made all my food at home. So I'm gonna share with you guys a few of the things that I have. And of course, the number one meal that I did make was actually rice and beans and rice. I didn't have it every day, but it is a comfort food. My mom used to make red beans and rice for us when we were kids. So I did make red beans and rice quite a bit because, you know, it was something that was cheap, easy, and it tasted like home and my childhood. But we're not going to talk about beans and rice and beans. We're going to talk about some other things that I ate and how I use that to my advantage and the pricing on that. So number one, I think the hardest thing for people right now is breakfast. A lot of people think of breakfast as eggs. So when I was paying off my debt, eggs were actually cheap. They are not cheap right now. And I would not recommend using eggs as part of your breakfast if your budget is not that big, because they're really expensive. Okay, I would not do it. What I would do, and what I did do, is that I bought whey protein. Now, if you're on a budget, your food's not going to be that high quality unless you are sacrificing in other areas of your life. So you guys may have heard Dave Ramsey's daughter say this, that like if eating organic is really important to you, then you have to make sure that you really, really like narrow in your budget in other areas so that you can still pay off the debt and eat organic. For me, I didn't have that option. I wasn't making enough money at the time. I was a teacher for me to actually eat organic. So I was eating low quality food anyway. Number one, I'm a believer. So temporarily eating low quality food is not going to kill you as long as you're getting enough nutrients. So number one thing I did was I purchased whey protein. I used the Optimum Nutrition brand because it is relatively inexpensive for the quality of protein that you get. Is it the best quality? No. But what I loved is I got 25 grams of protein for less than $1, which is like, it's hard to do that, right? Because meat is $7.99 a pound, $10.99 a pound, $14.99 a pound, right? So I had a smoothie every day for breakfast. And what I did was I used different things to spice it up. So I would do like peanut butter one day and chocolate. Like cocoa powder is really cheap, so I'd buy cocoa powder and do peanut butter and cocoa powder. Or I would do like a berry smoothie, so I would add my frozen berries, which I'm going to talk about later, like why you should buy frozen fruit if you're on a budget. And so I did a whey protein every morning, a whey shake every single morning. And if I had a little extra money, then maybe I would do like a few eggs on the weekend just for like to spice it up for brunch. But I used whey protein as a cheap form of protein and a way to stay full, because one of the hardest things when you're on a budget and you're on a tight diet is protein, but protein is what actually keeps you full. And so if you don't get enough protein, you find yourself eating more and more, which then like blows your budget, right? So that was a big deal for me, was to make sure that I had enough protein in the morning. Being a health and fitness coach, I know this and I knew that. So I had to maintain my protein intake. So find a form of whey protein, you guys. I really suggest going to Grocery Outlet if you have one, because they have marked down protein for really reasonable prices. Much cheaper than like a GNC or a Vitamin Shop or anything like that. So go to Grocery Outlet and get your whey protein. You are going to save so much money having that for breakfast, and you're going to feel better. Number two, I did a lot of tuna. I know people are afraid of the mercury in tuna, but tuna is like literally can be like 60 cents a can depending on where you get it from. And again, I got my tuna from Grocery Outlet. I lived near Grocery Outlet and I was able to compare prices, and I got it for really cheap. Tuna, sometimes 99 cents a can, again, goes a long way because it's high protein. So whenever you get a high protein food, you're not gonna be as full. You're gonna be fuller for longer, which means you don't need to keep buying food because you're not gonna be as hungry. That is really the hack here, is like finding cheap protein. So I would do a lot of tuna salad sandwiches. And I would just buy the cheapest form of mayonnaise that I could find, a cheap loaf of bread, and boom. Okay, my health went out the window really when I was doing my budget, when I was trying to pay off debt, because it just didn't, at that point my main thing was like get this credit card paid off. So choosing tuna is really, really good if you can. Now, the thing about mercury is, of course, nobody should be eating tuna every day, because I'm going to give you guys some other options as well. No one should be eating tuna every single day. But if you sweat and if you drink a lot of water, you actually expel a lot of that mercury. So you don't have to be as cautious if you're someone who's exercising. If you're someone who sweats a lot, if you're someone who goes to the sauna, you're going to be better off than someone who does not. Okay? So please make sure that if you do have tuna and you have it frequently, that you're expelling it from your body by sweating and drinking lots of water. Number 3, the cheapest chicken, y'all, is not chicken breast. The cheapest chicken is drumsticks. You guys, okay, when I was doing my budget, drumsticks from Trader Joe's, you guys, were like $2.99. Praise the Lord. They were like 6 drumsticks for like $2.99. Which is great. Are you kidding me? Like, they were not even organic either, just regular drumsticks. So if you can find drumsticks from like a Safeway or a Trader Joe's or wherever, you're gonna be in a good situation. Pair that with some rice that you cook on your own, boom, bada bing, you're good to go. Rice, chicken drumsticks or chicken thighs are gonna be the most inexpensive. And that's because they have more fat on them, which is fine. Because if you're on a budget, you want to be fuller with less food so that you don't have to use as much food for your meals. So chicken thighs and rice, oh my gosh, season that with some salt, pepper, garlic. Find one of those Trader Joe seasonings are like $1.99. So if you have like a adobo seasoning or Georgian seasoning, you just sprinkle that on there, you guys, chef's kiss. Okay? Now, of course, you need vegetables if you're going to have meals, right? My recommendation is to always buy frozen vegetables if you are on a budget. And here's why. Number 1, the nutrients are frozen in that moment. So if you keep your vegetables frozen, you maintain the nutrients. The other thing is, it is really, really easy to waste vegetables. I'm having this issue right now. I need to use these in the proper order because I'm wasting vegetables. They're going bad in my refrigerator. The way to prevent this is to buy frozen vegetables. They're also cheaper, you guys. Frozen vegetables are cheaper than fresh vegetables. You can probably afford organic vegetables when they are frozen because they're so much cheaper than the ones in the aisle. And it's crazy because they actually preserve the nutrients a little bit better. So buy frozen vegetables. Don't be afraid to use frozen vegetables. There's nothing wrong with them. To this day, I still use frozen vegetables because it helps me to budget better. I'm not wasting food. When I have the best that I can, I just buy frozen vegetables. And then of course, having rice and beans and rice. Red beans, kidney beans. I used to make a lot of chili. I forgot to tell you guys this. I used to make a ton of chili when it was the winter time because beans are really cheap. And if you go to, again, like a Grocery Outlet or a Food Max, 80/20 beef is so inexpensive, and you can add tomatoes and onions, and you have this heaping pot of chili for a really, really, really low cost. So I loved having chili a lot too. I made that in my crock pot, and I had meals for weeks with my chili. And you can add frozen vegetables to your chili, and it actually tastes pretty good. So you're getting your nutrients. Because again, this is a health and fitness channel, so I'm not going to tell you to completely forgo health. But I did eat lower quality foods when I was on my budget. So anyway, I hope this video helped you guys. I've been waiting forever to do this video. I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, I should really make a cookbook for like super cheap meals that I used to eat when I was covering my budget when I was budgeting for paying off my debt. But another day, that's for another day. Anyway, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Toodles.